Welcome back everybody, we've got some good news. The kind folks at Moyustore have been back in touch with me again, and this time they've sent me their mechanical war spider kit to review and build. And this is what it looks like when assembled. This version comes with 2 additional expansion packs to arm the spider with weaponry because, well, what's more frightening than a bloody great big mechanical war spider? Well, a bloody great big mechanical war spider with guns and missiles attached, that's what. Now the price tag on this kit comes in at approximately $180 US, which is about £135, 155 euros and roughly 280 Australian dollars, making it one of the more affordable products in their vast range, so don't worry, you don't have to remortgage your house to buy one of these. But wait, there's more! While I haven't been paid to make this video, if you use the referral link that I provided down in the description and type in the discount code of PBPROPS, then you'll receive 12% off the full price of whatever it is that you decide to order, including this war spider. And as a bonus for me, if I ever remember to cash it in, then I'll also get a small percentage by way of a commission, but we'll see if I'll ever get to that stage. Anyway, with an all-metal construction, a snazzy lighting kit and over 600 parts, you too can spend most of your construction time dropping hundreds of tiny little screws, nuts and bolts about the place as you attempt to fix all the parts together. Because that's pretty much what I'm expecting to be doing after my experiences on the last kit that I reviewed. Still, it'll all be worth it in the end. While not quite as opulent as the more expensive manta ray kit that I looked at previously, the War Spider kit comes in a simplified but still quite attractive satin black box with a high gloss image of the completed spider model on the front. Inside there's no die cut foam holding the parts in place, instead this time around everything comes presented in several clear backform plastic clamshell trays. Just as I've come to expect from these kits, the quality of the parts are absolutely superb, and I have no complaints whatsoever with them. Well, apart from how small some of them are, because I'm convinced that I'll either lose some if I'm not careful, or I'll have problems handling them during the assembly, but that's more of a me problem, so moving on. To help you along in the build process, each tray has an identifier plate in the top left-hand corner, as well as the various part numbers which are moulded in directly underneath each compartment, and it's these 2 combined elements that makes it terribly easy to quickly find and retrieve the main parts that you'll be using during any step in the construction. I'll touch again on this in a moment as it's quite an important factor to navigate. Additionally, there are 5 baggies marked A through to E that contain further baggies of the smaller parts that make up much of the sub-assemblies. What does make me happy about this kit is that this time around, appropriate tools have been included, most notably some spanners to aid in the tightening of the tiny nuts and bolts. Previously these were not provided, and I did complain vigorously about the lack of them because it did make the assembly rather difficult and frustrating, so their presence now is more than welcome here. Also included with the toolset is a nifty pair of tweezers and 3 sizes of Allen keys. Lastly, there's a fully illustrated instruction manual. I must admit that when flipping through this for the first time, then looking at the sheer quantity of the parts, it really was quite overwhelming and somewhat daunting, but once I took the time to actually sit down and thoroughly look through everything, suddenly it all started to make sense. You'll notice on the front of the manual that it says 0 plane. Now, I'm not entirely sure what this refers to, though at first I did think it was something to do with the English translation, because, let's be honest here, just like the other kit, it's not exactly the best. In that light, I do feel that the makers should perhaps employ someone who's at the very least fluent in the language that they're trying to communicate in, because what's presented here can be somewhat confusing at times. That said, the pictorial instructions are more than sufficient, but I am compelled to decipher one very specific thing for you, because to be frank, it's not immediately obvious when you first open the book, and you'll come across this problem on the very first page. A part does not refer to the tray marked A as you'd expect. It actually refers to the contents of, well, bag A. So for example, part DZJ, which appears to break the alphanumerical identification sequence, this will actually come from the previously mentioned bag A, while part B11 on the very same page will come from the tray marked B, compartment 11. That's just how the system works, and once you get used to it, you'll see how much of an impressively genius idea this really is. Likewise, when you come to the next page marked B-1 part, that again refers to the bag B-1, which can be found in the pile of other B parts. And the system follows on like this throughout the entire instruction manual, bag B-2, B-3 and so on, all the way up to E-3, and then over a couple of pages at the end, it just skips to G for some reason, so be mindful of this. By the way, there is no bag G. Right, let's take a deep breath and plunge ourselves right into this sea of parts and see what happens. I think this is going to be rather interesting. Apparently, according to the website, the build should take no more than 15 hours. Well, we'll see about that, because to me, that sounds like a challenge. Flipping through the manual, it looks like the kit is largely broken up into 3 sections. The legs, the cephalothorax, you know, the bit at the front with the eyes and the mouth, and then the abdomen at the rear with the lighting element. Of the 39 pages that make up the manual, 21 of them are dedicated purely to the construction of the legs, which comes as little surprise to me because, as we all know, spiders are mainly lots of legs with a small body attached. Given that the 8 leg mounts are all largely identical, though half of them are the mirror image of the other 4, to make life a little easier for myself, I simply laid everything out for each section and made allowances for parts that belong to the left side and parts for the right side. According to the manual, you must not mix these up, so I'll bear that in mind then. Right, it's always a bit worrying when you start, but here we are, I've got everything ready, so there's my left side, there's my right side, left and right buckets for when I start actually building things and putting them away, and I'm going to be working across from there to there. Well, technically, the way this is done, this is the right side, is actually this way, so we start with some bolts, which will be these, so I'm going to be working my way backwards. And that's a piece. And this piece. If I can pick it up, that is. So. Small bolt in there. Big bolt in there. So that piece goes in like that, I think. From there I need a tiny little piece in there. Where did that go? So that bit goes on that way up, and these two, so where does that, the big bolt goes through there, right, that goes into there. Bloody hell, that is tiny. These are the 4 leg mount pieces that you just saw me building. I'll tell you what, it's very rare for me to lose my patience, but on this one, they absolutely drove me balmy, and I've got another 4 to do, so that's the right lot, and this over here is the left. So I'm halfway through. This has taken me an hour. An hour! It is so frustrating. The parts, as you can see, are so tiny. You need like 6 pairs of hands to do all this, so 12 hands to hold everything together. It literally, you put in this bolt, that bit falls out, you know, that bit there falls out. It's frustrating, and it takes a lot to piss me off. It takes a lot to get me cross. It takes an absolute mountain of stuff to go wrong to frustrate me. That is the most frustrating piece I've ever put together. It's so tiny, it's got lots of little pieces. I mean, this little bit in here, this little spacer bar, the amount of times I've dropped these, it's unrecordable. And as is the amount of swear words I used in this. But there we are, so 4 of those things done, and I've got another 4 to make, and I'm really not looking forward to it. To be honest, this would be enough to put me off the kit, actually. I think this could be better thought out. I'm not quite sure how yet, but you know, a lot of this is press cut. I'm just wondering, seeing as they do die cast pieces, maybe this piece could be die cast in future. That is ridiculous. Now, I'm 6'3", I've got fairly large hands. If you've got sausage fingers, I know my fingers aren't like sausages, but if you've got sausage fingers, you haven't got a hope in hell. Okay, a little update. I have now completed all 8 sections. Now, I've come across something really weird on this. This one took me almost an hour. Technically speaking, it was 47 minutes, but these 4 took me 47 minutes. And these took me 20 minutes. The left side took me 20 minutes. They're pretty much exactly the same as the other, they're just a mirror image. Now, I have a feeling, as I said previously, I do think that these things should be die cast into basically that shape, but I do have a feeling that my problem with doing the right side is the fact that maybe it's because I'm right-handed and the orientation in which you work on it, because this one, literally I flew through each one, so yeah, bear in mind that. So if you're left-handed, you may have problems with the left side, and if you're right-handed, you might have problems with the right side. I still stand by my idea that really this section here should be rethought out and made as a single die-cast piece, because to be honest, this is enough, as I said previously, to really put me off wanting to build the rest of it. It's kind of tarnished my enthusiasm for it, but we shall carry on. So once again, back to the voiceover. Continuing on with the toe section, if spiders actually even have toes that is, I found myself still struggling to manipulate the very small parts to begin with, but I soon managed to gain my stride as familiarity began to set in. From there on in, as the upper leg part got progressively larger and therefore easier to handle, I was soon flying through this stage of assembly. I have to say, the provided spanner and Allen keys were a godsend this time around, despite the whole process still being an uphill challenge to my manual dexterity. Gotta say, I'm not overly convinced by this page, and I'll tell you why. So up here it says left thigh, yet down here it says right. There's a little R there, and that is from the right pile. So why does all this combine to make a left thigh? So look, I'll just follow the instructions and see what it says. Okay, I know I'm in mid-flow with the build, but I just want to check in with you. Now, do you remember a short while ago I said that this part here is the left piece that you start with, and that this is actually the right leg? And I thought, well, that can't be right. Well, apparently it is. So this is definitely the right leg, and this is the bit that I built for the left side. So I'm not quite sure, so I don't know if you can see it, but can you see that? Yeah, you can just about see that. Yeah. This is a left part on the right leg. I've checked the diagrams. That is the way it is. I don't know why they do it, but they just do it. So don't let that catch you out if you end up buying one of these. Yes, the left piece is supposed to be on the right leg, just as the right piece is supposed to be on the left leg. But yeah, alright, well I'm going to carry on with this, so yeah, just thought I'd clear that up. So it wasn't terribly long before I had my first leg completed, and shortly after that, the other 7 quickly followed suit. Okay, I think now's as good a time as any to do a quick check-in with the time. I've got my 8 legs completed, and all of that took 4 hours and 16 minutes. I think I'm making pretty good headway here because I'm over 50% of the way through the build, and according to the website, I think they said about 15 or 16 hours, so I'm way ahead of time. However, the 4 hours may seem like a lot, and yes it is. Quite a lot of that was just taken up by building these little mounts here, and rather a lot of the rest of it was me dropping screws, and in particular the nuts and the bolts. The bolts are really tiny, so yeah, quite a lot of my time was spent scrubbing on the floor looking for bits that I apparently lost. Yeah, you're all sort of fingers and thumbs with this one, so I think I'm making good headway. So anyway, let's carry on and see what's next. Having got 8 legs sat here doing absolutely nothing and not looking in any way spidery, naturally you'd think that now's the time to set them onto their chassis and start building up that mechanical arachnid appearance that we've all been looking forward to. But no, apparently not. According to the manual, you just leave it all like this until much, much later on when you come to do the final assembly. How very disappointing. Well, bugger that, let's just skip to the end and see what needs to be done. Just as I thought, it's 2 plates. Yeah, I think I'll do that now. Right, I've been looking at this manual and the procedure in which you put all this together, and I think I can see a little problem on the horizon. Now, the way it goes is you've got the bolts here. They go into this plate. You've got to put all 8 of them in, then balance all 8 legs on this, then put a little spacer in, there's 8 of those, top that off with another plate, and then finally add on the nuts here. Now, what I can see as a problem here is basically all of this falling apart as you do it, so it's going to be kind of interesting to see how all this comes together, shall we say. But yeah, it has to be done, so let's get on with it. Right. Got to get the orientation right. So right leg goes on this side. So bugger. Yeah, that is starting to look like something now. So, yeah, I can sort of see where we're going. It sort of makes me feel like I'm making some progress. One thing I do know is that you've got to tighten up some of these. They do mention in the manual here that you shouldn't tighten up until once it's on here. So I might have a fiddle. I mean, this leg here is particularly loose, so I shall have a look at him in a minute. But yeah, I think we're making some decent progress here. And it's a decent size now, I can see it. Yeah, pleased with that. No, good lord, look at the size of these parts. I'm just about to start on the mandibles. These parts are absolutely minute, not so much these bits, but look at this. See if I drop the damn thing, look at this. Tiny. And I'm supposed to manipulate that with these bloody things? Oh well, it's all a trial, so I'm going to carry on and, as I carry on, I'm going to start and see how much of this I'm going to drop or lose. Yeah. Nope. Oh. Right. Get it. No, I've got it in upside down now. Bugger. Nope. Stay. No, can't pick up the screw. That is a pain in my ass. Where's the other bolt? There we go. And by bolt I mean nut. This is ridiculous. I would say I would get one of those helping hands, but they're just as bad. I get the general idea, but I think by the magic of television, this is going to be completed. And by that I mean off camera. Right, by the magic of television, this is now completed. This is the very first mandible. It is very, very fiddly to put together. Now, I've got to pass on one tiny little tip. Just the tip, mind. So, on this side, you use the smallest Allen key you can. And then on this side, on this little brass piece here, there's no tool in the box for it. So, I had to go off and find the daintiest pair of pliers that I could find. I think these are from a necklace making kit my wife used to have. So I just grabbed hold of that from this side and then put a bit of torque on it from the other side. But yeah, that is it. So if you've got big hands, good luck. If you've got small hands, well, at least it feels bigger in your hand. Bugger. These are the wrong screws. I thought they were. Apparently this is the right screw. Right. So it's the short screws that go in there, then the long screws go in here. Well, the instructions are incredibly unclear. This is about the fourth time I've remounted this. It doesn't match the drawings at all, but let's try it. Because according to the drawing, the long pins go in here and the short pins go in here, but that can't be so, there have been a few incidences of this where the drawings do not match what actually happens in here, so yeah. Bit of an arse, but there you go. So, bolted down. Yeah, so let's continue. There we go. Who's gone there? Lampshade. See, when you put these in the other holes as directed, they get jammed. They will screw in, but only go in so far. Whereas here, which is at 90 degrees to where the instructions seem, or at least my interpretation of it, I might be completely wrong, but yeah. Goes in there. Some spacer goes there. Right, just to clear up a little bit of confusion, the way the diagram in the manual describes the way this goes together is completely different. So what I've actually done is mounted it this way, because normally they want these golden pieces here facing inwards when the thing is in this orientation. But that's, I don't want to say it's impossible because you could just twist them around, but according to the artwork over here, they've got theirs mounted in exactly the same way that I've got it here, so that matches the box art but not quite the manual. So again, you can bear that in mind, but that's how mine looks. So at the top, at the top here, these two golden pieces point outwards, and the same for here, they point that way. So there you go. Yeah. See if I can shove that down in there. Well, that looks like it does it. Why didn't I notice that earlier? Because I'm stupid. Okay folks, as you can see, I have skipped ahead and built the 2 weapons pods. Now, the reason for doing this off camera is evident if you look down at the runtime of this video. We're already at 32 minutes, and to be honest, you haven't missed much. It's just more of the same, really. It's just, there's only so many ways I can show you me bolting stuff together. I mean, the instructions are here. It's a very simple affair, to be honest, but yeah, you've not really missed anything. So what we're going to do now is call it a day. I'm going to fix these onto the main spider, and then we'll have the little reveal. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this little build-along video, because I certainly have. Honestly, it really has been quite the fun project, though intensely frustrating at the same time, but this is mainly down to how small and fiddly large swathes of this kit actually is. In light of that, if you have issues with your manual dexterity, then this kit probably isn't going to be for you. Well, it could be, I suppose, if you get someone else to do it for you, that is. But from my perspective, despite my many decades of proper model making experience, even I found several sections of it just immeasurably infuriating, and all because I just couldn't get a decent purchase on some of the minuscule parts as I manipulated them together. With all that said and done though, I genuinely do believe that some elements of the kit should be rethought out, because while it may nicely go together in the comfort of the design software, out here in the real physical world, it's an entirely different story altogether. Despite these criticisms, it really is a nice project to take on at your leisure. The website suggests that it could take you about 16 hours to complete, but I achieved mine in half that. 6.5 hours to make the main spider, and then a further 1.5 hours to assemble the 2 weapons modules, bringing me to a grand total of 8 hours of construction time. So the big question is, do I think it's worth it? Well, as a project, yes, I genuinely do, because it does look very impressive once completed, especially when it's all lit up. But if you were to ask me if it's value for money or not, then in that case, I'm sorry, but I can't help you, as it's all down to personal perspective. On that note, why don't you leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, as I'm always keen to hear what you have to say. So until next time, thanks as always for joining me, stay well, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now then.